I wanted to make a quick video documenting my experience leasing a car from an auto broker. So before I actually had this experience of going through an auto broker, I really thought that auto brokers weren't necessary as long as you knew how to negotiate. And I'm a car guy. I actually used to work at a dealership, and I actually still have a wholesale license in the state of Arizona. So I've been to the auctions, I know the business, or I thought I knew the business. So I figured that as long as I went into a dealership prepared, I could get the same deal from a dealer, or even a better deal than I could get through an auto broker, and that just wasn't the case. So I've actually never leased a car. I've always been a big fan of buying luxury cars 3 to 4 years after they come out. They're just kind of coming out of that warranty phase, and then you can pick them up for about half the cost of new. You get an extended warranty for the car, and then you basically get all the benefits of owning a new car for half price. But anyway, in this particular situation, I actually had a BMW 335i. The aftermarket warranty was coming due on that, so I decided to get rid of that car. And I was looking around at lease deals, and I saw some lease deals on Infinitis that were, at first I thought too good to be true. There were a bunch of brokers out of LA that had some really smoking deals on Infiniti Q50. So at first I thought it was a scam. I did a little bit more research and realized that these companies were legitimate and that it wasn't a scam. So I figured though that I would be able to use those numbers, go into any Infiniti dealership, and I'd get them to match it. I was completely wrong. I wasted a few weekends going to actually Lexus and Infiniti. I was looking at the Lexus IS for a while as well, and the dealerships weren't even close. I wasted time. I dealt with the typical salespeople that most people hate dealing with, and in the end they weren't even close to the broker's offer. So I got this car. It's a 2015 Infiniti Q50. I got it actually about 6 months ago now. So I got it for $2,500 down. That was total down. That included tax, title, license, and a little bit of principal reduction, and $268 a month for 12,000 miles a year on the lease. So $268 a month, 12,000 miles, $2,500 total out of pocket down, which I thought was a slamming deal for this car. So to give you an idea, after weeks of negotiating, the best offer I got direct from a dealer was $5 grand total down, $399 a month plus tax, and 10,000 miles a year. So the dealer wasn't even close. I mean, they wanted an extra $2,500 down, and they wanted basically an extra 140 bucks a month, and they weren't even giving me 12,000 miles a year. So the dealer knew I had the quote from the broker, and the dealer just refused to match it, and I couldn't find any other dealers that would. So long story short, I would absolutely recommend going through a broker for your next car purchase or car lease in my situation. So it might be a thing where your experience may vary, but I loved it. They made it incredibly easy. Obviously I had to go all the way to LA to close the deal because the broker was out of LA, but it was totally worth it. I didn't waste time at a car dealership. They got me a better deal, and it was completely smooth. I signed the papers in about 20 minutes, and I was in and out of there. So, and this is a good car. Not a great car. Not as good as the 335i, or obviously the 340 replaced the 335i. And quite frankly, if money really wasn't an issue for me, I would want a 340i or maybe a 4 Series BMW. But right now I can't justify spending that type of money. Given the fact that I don't drive much, and my commute is pretty easy. My office is only about 1.5 miles away from my house. So, really all I'm going to be doing is, driving, up and down a 1 mile stretch where there's, a lot of traffic and 15-mile-an-hour speed limit. So, again, a good car, not a great car, but for the price, it's a phenomenal car. I mean, for, 270 bucks a month, I know people that have Camrys and Corollas and Civics for that price. So, Infinitis, for whatever reason, just aren't very popular right now, and you can get some pretty good deals on them because Infinity's blown them out. So, I'll give you kind of a quick tour of the car, but again, it's a 2015 Q50. And another reason why I got that good deal was obviously I got it in 2016, right? So they were really motivated to get the last 2015s off of the car lot. So this has a 3.7 V6. It's about 328 horsepower and I think like 270 torque. It's all right. It's definitely not the fastest car I've ever owned, but it's fairly quick. It's quick enough for most situations. It's got a lot of power for the daily drive. I like that it's rear-wheel drive. Hate front-wheel drive. My biggest gripe with this car is going to be the suspension. The suspension is absolutely horrible. This is a non-sport, but it's really floaty. Kind of reminds me of a mid-90s Lexus, right? Which, again, isn't bad for a daily driver, but coming from a BMW, I really wish it handled a little bit better. And I think part of the reason is the fact that the tires are pretty skinny, so I could potentially throw on upgraded tires, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to waste the money on a lease car. It's got a few standard features though that I really like that my 335 didn't have. It's got the keyless entry and keyless start where you can leave the key in your pocket. I had that on a few Mercedeses and I was disappointed I couldn't get that on that 335. Well, I guess I could have, but I bought it used and the previous owner obviously didn't opt for that option. The navigation system is actually quite good. It's, I think, better than what I've had in BMW and Mercedes. It's way easier to use. It's pretty accurate. I've actually been pretty impressed with the navigation unit. It's got adjustable, sport mode. Again, this sport mode thing, it doesn't, it only changes the throttle, right, and a few other things. It doesn't actually change the suspension, which was a bummer. It's got a Bose sound system. That's again pretty good. Good, not great. And that's the theme with this car, right? It's pretty good, not phenomenal. But again, for the price, phenomenal, right? To get a Bose system and navigation and a V6 and all that for the payment, it's not bad at all. Heated seats, being in Phoenix and San Diego, I'll never use those probably. I do like the fact that you can plug in a USB. That's kind of cool, and it's got the auxiliary ports. Of course, obviously all the other luxury features. So again, for the price, I can't complain. For the price, it's a phenomenal deal. My only issue with the car really is that it's not real leather. It's fake leather, and it's kind of hard to tell. But I've noticed that for only 5,000 miles on the car, it's it's starting to wear a little bit kind of more here in the armrest than I would have liked. So hopefully that doesn't wear out too bad. But yeah, so full disclaimer, I may eventually get back into the auto business, especially after this experience, because I absolutely hate dealerships and I'm a big fan of going through brokers now. So I'm kind of thinking maybe that's the way to go, is to get into that business, help people get good deals on cars, and obviously screw over these dealerships in the process, because they're just absolutely awful. I can tell you stories. But the cool thing is that this deal is still kind of available, right? So if you guys are interested in a deal like this, shoot me a PM and I'll refer you to that broker in Los Angeles that did the deal for me. But on the 2016 Q50s, they have a few different options, right? They've got a four-cylinder turbo where you could probably get a little bit of a better deal. And they've got a new six-cylinder motor, but it's a 3.0 six-cylinder, but it's turbocharged, where mine's a 3.7 naturally aspirated. So from the reviews I've read online, the engines are pretty, comparable as far as power goes. Obviously that turbo is going to have, more tuning potential, but for a lease car, you're not supposed to mess around with that anyway. So for the 3.0s, you can get about the same deal I got on mine, where about, $2,500 down and, $300 a month for taxes for 10 to 12,000 miles a year. So essentially the same deal I got on mine, you could get for a newer one with the 3.0 turbocharged. So I don't know, kind of kicking myself. Maybe I should have waited and gotten essentially the same deal on the more advanced engine. But I do like the fact that this is a 3.7, and I do like the fact that it's naturally aspirated, because it's going to be less maintenance. And for me, I'm not going to tune it. So if I was going to obviously put software on the car, then maybe obviously I would rather have that turbo engine. But for me, for leaving it stock, if it's making about the same amount of power, then that's fine. Now the other option for 2016 is the red sports, but those are going for a little bit more. I think the broker told me those are releasing now for $399 a month plus tax with with I think 2 grand down. So, so that payment's going to be a little bit higher, obviously, and that was for 10,000 miles a year. So anyway, again, definitely would recommend going through an auto broker. There's a few reputable ones up in LA. Check their Yelp reviews, and obviously you can deal with them with confidence. If you want to go through the particular broker that sold me this car and you want a similar deal, shoot me a private message here. Again, I'll refer you to them. Who knows, eventually, you know, full disclaimer, I may get back into the auto brokerage business, but for now, just wanted to share with YouTube my experience to tell you, don't waste your time at a dealer, go through a broker, and as long as you find a reputable broker, no reason why you can't get a great deal on a car.